going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. If we're just meeting, my name is Garrett. I'm a 7-figure Amazon seller showing you guys how you can make a living off Amazon as well. In today's video, we're talking about wholesale catalogs and ordering from those wholesale catalogs. How to filter through the data, how to sift through the data, weed out the fluff, and use that information to come up with a potential and prospective wholesale order. Right? How to use that to fuel our negotiations with our sales reps from brands and suppliers. So stick around for the video and let's get into it. So we're here in Scan Unlimited, and anytime you get a big catalog from any of your brands or distribution companies, suppliers, etc., you're going to want to use some sort of scraping software to really consume, filter through, sift through that information. We use Scan Unlimited. There's others, right? There's Tactical Arbitrage. Smart Scout has one. There's a bunch of them out there that pretty much do the same thing, and really they're just creating filters around a given data set, right? Obviously your catalog. It allows you to consume and digest that information and work with that information as quickly and as efficiently as possible, right? Filtering out a lot of the fluff. That's really the goal. And so here, this is the first screen after you obviously upload your catalog. We're just kind of using just a dud catalog that we have. Right, and so this product ID column is going to be the unique identifier that Scan Unlimited uses to pull the information and compare it to Amazon. Right, so we're going to go based on the UPC. The UPC is obviously going to be in really any catalog that you get. Cost column, you're going to want to use a unit price, unit cost, right? And so for us, right here, it's going to be the unit price. That's going to be the cost of a single unit. Obviously, Scan Unlimited is going to use that to multiply out and calculate the cost of bundles and obviously single units and stuff like that, right? We're not going to want to use the inner price. That's the cost of a case. So we want to use the single most, the most foundational price we have available. You could set some other filters, but for this example, we'll keep it pretty basic, right? So we're pulling by the UPC at a given cost, and it's going to compare that to Amazon. And so we'd hit the start button. Luckily, I've already done this search for us, so we can work with the data. We have it all available to us. And so right off the bat, right, we're going to want to filter out and initiate some filters within this specific data set. But we want to be careful, right, because we want to ultimately be able to work with as much valuable and good information as possible. So we want to be very specific with the filters that we apply. And so we'll kind of walk through the ones that we really use to make the most of and be as efficient as possible. First and foremost, we're going to want to avoid Amazon. And so in this case, right, we set an Amazon false filter, and that's going to filter out any scenario where Amazon is predominantly on that specific listing. The second big one we want to use is offer count, right? We want to filter out any product that is, 1 or 2 sellers, 3 sellers. We want to be looking at products with more than those, right? Because again, we want to be most efficient. We want to be as efficient as possible. And the chances are, if the product is 1 or 2 sellers, it's likely going to be a private label scenario, and we don't want to be looking at those. Third one is going to be estimated sales. Right, and keep in mind, right, there's going to be 2 main factors that differentiate different catalogs, suppliers, brands, etc. Right, and this is the reason why, obviously, as you guys probably know, I'm big into brand direct, because the qualification happens in the beginning, right? And so the 2 factors that differentiate catalogs are velocity and price. Now, we could only change one of those. Right, we can change the price. We cannot change velocity. And so that's why we're going to filter on velocity and not worry about price rate quite yet. Right, because the fact of the matter is, if there's a product that moves, that's like 500,000 ranked and moves maybe 5 times a month, there's not much we're going to be able to do to fix that scenario. Right, we're not going to be able to, generate hundreds and hundreds of sales to a specific listing if people just don't want to buy it. Right, obviously PPP or PPC has some effect, but not really going to be that significant. And so we want to filter out the fluff. We want to filter out the dead weight of catalogs, filter out the products that just don't move, because we don't want to waste our time looking at those specific ones. And so for us, we're filtering out anything really less than a couple hundred, 200, 300, something like that. Right? We want to be looking at products, not necessarily caring about price. We want to be looking at products that move. Right, because in the next step of this process, we're going to really construct a prospective PO based on velocity, based on the data, based on the stability, all the market factors that we're looking for, And then we're going to go and name the price to our supplier, brand, etc., and see if we can work from there. And so that's why we're really only filtering on sales and not necessarily price, because we can change that price. And so we don't want to filter out something that's maybe only 2% margin now, because what happens if we can go to that supplier and buy 200 more units or 500 more units and ultimately get that margin to 10%, 12%, 15%, something that we're more comfortable with. So that's, again, the reasoning behind only filtering on estimated sales. And that's really it, right? I'm not going to, again, worry about too much filtering on price, profit, etc. I'm only going to be filtering on velocity. And so what we then do is filter and sort on velocity. And I would just go essentially one by one, or you'll get more efficient at this, and just sort from fastest moving to slowest moving, and just span and just kind of skim through, right? So we actually did the opposite here. We want to go top to lowest. And all we're going to do is kind of glance at the keepers. We want to qualify products, right? Same as OA. We're going to be qualifying quickly just to get a sense of what the market looks like. And so Scan Unlimited gives us a nice overlay of what the keepers look like. And so we can make a pretty quick distinction between if it's even remotely interesting or not. Yes, obviously there's a lot of red here, profit, ROI. They don't look super great. But again, that's something that we're going to worry about in our next step of the process. Right now we're qualifying based on stability, velocity, and just obviously whether Amazon's in or out of the stock, obviously if the brand's on the listing, those sorts of things. But we're qualifying on everything except for price. That's the big thing. And so we'd go through this catalog, right, construct a short list of products that we're interested in, right? And this leads us to the next step, right? We're going to propose a PO to the supplier brand we're working with. And what that looks like is obviously, formatting perspective, UPC, product ID, price point that they give. Those are going to be the first three catalogs. This is how we do it. And this is the big one, right? Our target price is essentially what our goal is, right? And the reason for this is we don't want to be going to our supplier and be like, hey, I need a 10% discount. This is what I'm trying to buy. Make it happen for me. That's very demanding. That's very, it's standoffish, right? It's going to turn off a lot of sales reps and people that we're working with. And so we want to give them the power. We want to give them the authority. We want to put the leverage in, quote unquote, the leverage in their court, because ultimately that gets us what we want. And so we'll go through and put all our UPCs of like the top 5-10 products that we're interested in. If there's more, that's great. Obviously, fill out the ID or the description based on their catalog, and then list the price that they have, right? This is our number, and so you could shade this. What we typically do is shade it like green or something just to draw attention to it. So this is our target price, and then we'll leave this blank. We'll let them decide, and we'll say, these are the 5, 10 products, 15 products that we're interested in. We've listed our target price. Let us know how many units we need to purchase in order to make this target price happen, right? Now, that's the key verbiage. That's the key wording. We're not demanding a specific discount. We're putting the ball in their court, because them, as a sales rep, they want to make money. And so we're essentially giving them the luxury to name their check, right? Because they know their commission. They know how much they're making on a specific order. And so that just gives them intuitively a lot more motivation to walk down the hall and talk to those sales reps to get an extra 10, 15, 20% discount. If they think it's possible, right? We're not saying, I need a 10% discount. I'm only buying 100 units. That's what wants to happen. Make it happen. We're giving them the authority to say, hey, you tell me how many you want me to buy to make this pricing happen, and let's move this forward. And so this is the number. This is the column that's going to be left open, and we want them to fill it in inside the Excel. And this is the Excel that we're going to send them. You could even leave a column open here and call it like suggested price or something for them to fill in, right? If they're not going with the target price, leave this as where they can enter a specific price given a specific quantity. But I wouldn't necessarily do that. I would say, this is my target price. You tell me how many you want me to order, and let's make this happen. And that's just going to move the conversation forward a little bit more. It's going to be a lot more appealing from a sales rep's perspective to want to work with you if you're open to those sorts of quantities, open to those sorts of numbers. And ultimately, you're kind of dangling a cookie in front of the sales rep saying, okay, I'm open to the quantity that you're suggesting. You just tell me how much I need to buy, and we'll make it happen. And so that's really how we're approaching our relationships in sort of that negotiation process with the brands that we are working with. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in the next one.